Hi everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, and that's Connor. We are going to talk about The Exorcist, not the movie, of course, the TV show that just launched. This is episode 1, and they've actually named this, it's not just a pilot, it's called Chapter 1, and Let My Cry Come On To Thee. So they're chapter naming, or chapter numbering their episodes, which I guess makes it feel more like a book, which, it was based on a book originally, so I guess that's what they're going for. So we'll start spoiler free as we do with episode 1s, and obviously this Much Like Lethal Weapon is another show based on a movie, although this one is a bit more different,
Yeah,
in that it's not just directly adapting what the movie
it's
did.
more of a spiritual adaptation than a direct.
I would almost argue it might even be set in the same universe,
Mm.
because there's one moment in it that implies that it might be, and I don't know if that's intentional, if it's just like a little,
Well, Easter eggs, I
yeah,
think.
little Easter egg. But of course, The Exorcist is about possession and about a priest who's called the Exorcist who comes in and tries to exorcise the possessed girl, get the demon out of her body. And it's weird talking about this because we just watched season 1 of Outcast over the summer, so it's weird.
It's had a very fresh take on
Yeah.
possession and exorcism.
Whereas this, of course, has gone for more of a classical thing, because The Exorcist, of course, is what started the possessed child genre.
Yeah.
This was the daddy. This was what did it. And let's put the cards on the table. When we saw the trailer like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever it was, we thought it looked terrible.
Yeah, we straight up was like, this is going to be awful.
Yeah,
I just see when we said we like that they used the theme music. And
Yes.
they brought that in. I was like, oh, that was nice. But everything else looked awful.
we were not expecting a good thing until sometime last week when some early written reviews were saying, you know what, this isn't that bad. So I went into this with weird expectations. Like, I wasn't like, it looked bad, but then I'm hearing it's not that bad, and I kind of liked it.
So did I.
I kind of liked. Now, it's not perfect. There's a couple of, I've definitely got a little nitpicks and complaints about a couple of things. But do you know the best thing this has going for it? Well, one of two best things it has going for it.
The fact that they used the music.
I wasn't even going to say that. Right? I wasn't going to even say that. I was going to save that. I was going to save that for spoilers. That's how
That's
deeply.
not a spoiler.
Eh,
They used it in the trailer.
True. But anyway, no. I was going to say, first of all, it's not the plot of the movie. And I didn't know that before I started watching it, if I was honest with you. Like, I thought it was just going to be, it's going to be mother, girl's possessed. But quite quickly you see, oh, there's a sister, and the father's still there. Okay, this is different. This is not the same people.
It was especially when descriptions I was hearing were, oh, the daughter's aged up. So it made me assume it was the same story. Just
Yeah.
aged up a bit for TV.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. And there's a new spin on it, which we can't talk about the full spin of it until we get to spoilers, but it does treat it differently, and it treats it as much more of a slow burn. Because one of the questions we had when this was like getting developed, and it was like, oh, this is coming out, we were like, how do you stretch that to like 13 episodes or however long the season's going to be? How do you do that? And again, I can't really say how they do it until we get to spoilers, but there is a reason. There's like a new thing they're doing with it that makes it a bit longer. It makes it perhaps even a little bit more sinister because of how they're doing it. The other thing I think it's got going for it is I think it's very well directed. And I didn't know this. Connor pointed this out to me right before we started, but it's actually directed by Rupert Wyatt, who did the Rise of the Planet of the Apes movie a few years ago.
Which leaves me with a mild concern that this could tank in direction after this episode. We've seen it before, where you get guest directors in for the first one, it's pretty damn good, and then they get the regular crew and...
True. It's a concern, but I feel like he's set up what the style will be for the show. And it's actually kind of similar to the movie. Like, I felt like the shots of watching the main priest there, Father Tomas, like walking down the street.
Yeah.
Even I know it sounds crazy, it's just walking down the street, but there's something about the way it's shot and the way it looks at him walking down the street that feels very similar to a lot of the shots in the movie, where
It's the shots that are like, where it's quite, the camera's quite far back and behind. Stuff like that, yeah.
So it's got a good sense of, it's like, because it's not even like a lot of stuff really happens in the first episode,
It's not, it is a very slow burn.
but it's got a really good sort of like kind of like the movie, and kind of like something like, say, Blair Witch. Not that it's found footage or anything like that, but what I mean is, it's got this really, like, it's moving slow, but there's this underlying feeling of dread throughout the whole thing. Where
It's got atmosphere.
yeah, it's atmosphere, and it feels like whatever's going to go down, it's biblical, and that, no pun intended because there's priests involved, but that's how big it feels. It feels like
Yeah.
there's something really bad like brewing underneath. So impressed, pleasantly surprised and impressed. Now I can talk about this nitpick before we get to spoilers. One little problem I had is I felt like Gina Davis's character, the mother Angela, she's already believing stuff's happening in the house.
But there's not really been much evidence of anything.
No,
Or not that we've seen.
we see one moment of her like thinking she hears something, and I thought, oh, this is the first thing she's hearing something. This is going to be the start of the thing, and then like 2 scenes later, she's away to see the priest, and is like, right, there's a demon in my house.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was other stuff that's been going on that we're just not seeing yet. But either way, it feels like we should have seen more.
She does mention a couple of things, and that is a legit criticism, is that she already has all these things that have happened, and we're like, well, we really should have maybe seen some of that.
Yeah, it would have been nice to experience some of this.
Maybe like if the episode had been a double, they could have spent like a bit more time at before those early scenes showing the slow build up, like almost like the start of a supernatural horror movie where there's like small things happening in the house.
Yeah, do a little time jumps, a few weeks here and there.
Yeah, but that could have been a good thing. Even an extra half hour, not a full hour. Just make it a 90-minute premiere. But it's not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal. There's a couple of good, really shocking, creepy moments. One in the middle and one really good one towards the end, which makes sense. And I was expecting something big to happen because they want a hook. They want something that brings us all back.
It's not a real first episode without one, is it? Of any show, really.
Yeah, I think this one more than anything because we said it's such a slow burn.
Yeah.
But it needs that big, like, this is the sort of thing that will happen occasionally at the end.
It also has the name expectations to live up to, so it's got to do something.
Yeah, someone with a girl with long hair is going to do something creepy by the end of the episode, or we're not going to leave happy.
Yes, exactly.
What kind of excites me though, and before we get to spoilers for the episode, I'm just like, so this is a full season. Now the full season I expect not to go too much further than the sort of thing the movie did in terms of what we see. But if this gets a season 2, look, what more things could we explore? Like, as much as I like that it feels similar to the movie in tone just now, I wouldn't be opposed to them opening it up a little bit in a season 2 where, like, there's already a hint in this one that there might actually be more than one demon, and I'm just thinking, like, what if in, like, a season 2 it's almost like, there's like an overall game plan from the demons or something, like there's more of a...
Yeah, or even if there's different types of demon.
Yeah.
Like they act differently.
Like maybe there's a reason why they're starting to all appear just now or something. I don't know. Like, I don't want it to be too much like Outcast, but at the same time I think, like, expand on it and give it more of a purpose for why there's multiple seasons of a show, if we get multiple seasons, that is.
Well, that's the thing, it's like they have to do something to prove, otherwise the second season would just be a rehash of the first.
Exactly. As far as the cast go, Gina Davis is okay. Honestly, I like her. I've liked her in a lot of stuff. Obviously, you may have seen her on The Fly, you may have seen her on Thelma and Louise. She's been in all TV shows, she's been in tons of stuff. She's been an actress for, 20, 30 years now. But I did oddly think her character was kind of, because we mentioned about her already like reacting to stuff, she had a kind of weird vibe.
Yeah, I mean, she was like really concerned about seemingly nothing. I just couldn't understand her headspace.
However, I did like just about everyone else.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anyone I didn't, but
the only other person I recognised was Alan Ruck, who plays the dad, who's got like dementia or whatever. I'm not quite sure what his illness is, but he's forgetting things.
Yeah, something obviously happened, and
yeah, he's repeating himself and forgetting.
It feels more
things.
like he had it not just because dementia is obviously like a gradual process. This feels more like there was an accident.
Right, there was like a sudden thing that's given him like brain trauma or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they use him to good effect as well, because he says a lot of really random weird stuff that means nothing, but every so often there's like one line where you're like, wait, was that like a prophecy, that one thing he just said? Like, So I can see them having fun with that. I thought both the main priest, Tomas, I thought was very good. He seems like a very good lead to the show because he's not your typical priest, you know?
Yeah, I think this is where it differentiates itself more than anything from Outcast. That their priest leads are very different. And I think that's essential in giving it its own identity.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other priest, Father Marcus, who's the one who's actually been like he's like the Max von Sydow character, the actual exorcist from the movie, where he's the one who's went and done this and at least tried to do it in all places. We see like a flashback of him, in Mexico City trying to like get a possessed boy, try and cure him and whatever. And we get the sense he's done this a few times, and he's a really disgruntled old guy. And he's not even that old, but he's experienced, and he's disgruntled, and he's failed a few times, and it's really starting to get to him. He's maybe losing faith a little bit that he can even fight, the forces of darkness or whatever.
Yeah.
And obviously we build up to him, and obviously he doesn't interact with the characters much this episode, but obviously he will as time goes on. But no, casts were good. I will briefly mention as well, when he's in Mexico City, another priest comes to speak to him, and I had to look twice to make sure it wasn't Clive from iZombie.
I did too, because I was like,
He looks so similar. Like, I actually want to look him up and just see if he's related to him, because it looks like his brother. It looks that similar.
he does, doesn't he?
Same hair, same sort of like forehead, nose, mouth, like the whole thing. It's him,
No.
but just slightly different.
I thought I recognised him though. He was in Skyfall, and he
Oh,
was
was he?
in
Okay.
yeah, he was in Beast of No Nation.
Yeah, but you see what I'm talking about, though. It
Yeah.
looks like Clive Babino from iZombie. But no, because when I thought it was Clive for like a split second, I thought, oh, he's definitely going to die because he's on another show. He can't stick around.
Yeah,
But then it wasn't him, so whatever. He still could die. I mean, I don't know, but it's not for sure now.
yeah.
So I think we'll get to spoilers.
Just before, can we just say,
Yeah, okay.
I'm kind of annoyed this is good
Okay.
because, like you said, we were expecting such awful things that I'd written this off as free time in the coming weeks, essentially, and now I have to schedule in an extra hour.
I know, but
We just need like
good.
so much of the stuff already that we expected to be awful has been pretty good.
To be fair though, we have dumped quite a lot this week as well.
We've dumped a bit, but not as much as we thought we were going to.
But to be honest though, pleasant surprises are part of the TV new season though.
They are. There's just more than usual, and we're only in the first week.
True. Fridays and Tuesdays are our new enemy. Basically,
Yeah.
those 2 nights are going to damn near kill us over the next. Luckily, once we get past Christmas, a lot of them have cable shows that all stopped, so we can, relax a bit more after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's go into some spoilers then. Full spoilers for episode 1 of The Exorcist. So, first things first. Let's talk about the bird.
It's the one bit where I thought the CG, it didn't look good.
I thought it looked. I don't think it looked bad. I thought it was like on a TV budget. I thought it was good enough, if that makes sense.
Sure, but when it was like when it did the close up on the wings and they were flapping out, it looked really ugly. It really stood out to me.
Because there was other good effects in this as well, though.
Yeah, which is why this one stood out, I think.
Probably because it's more showy and it's in broad daylight and it's.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
mean, I get the reasons, but
There's a good moment though. It's like one of those good bad omen moments of
Yeah.
stuff's going down. Nice jolt to the system. But obviously it all builds to the end, and obviously Father Tomas has got his sister and he's got his nephew. We see that he's got his own connections because the priest in the movie never really had that. I mean, I think there might have been one person in his life, but it wasn't.
he wasn't really a character so much. He was just a job title.
Whereas here I can see this being a thing. Like he's got this nephew that he looks after from time to time, and he's got his sister. And
He's very well identified as a person.
Yeah, and she even mentions, "Oh, don't call that girl again. You're meant to be a priest," and So they've actually given him some character, which is nice. And he even brings up that, part of the plot of this episode is that he's actually dreaming of the exorcism that failed in New Mexico, or Mexico City, sorry, not New Mexico. and he gets all the details right. So when he eventually goes to see, he tracks down Father Marcus at the end of the episode, and he like describes what he sees to him and all the like some details that he couldn't know unless he had actually had some sort of prophecy moment or whatever.
And also the way he knows to go there because of the dad.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. That's one of the weird things the dad says.
Yeah, he's just like he just kind of says like a place, and he's like, "What?" He goes, "That's what you're looking for. It's there."
Yeah, and that's why when he comes back and talks to Gina Davis, he says that most priests will say God spoke to them, and I never had that. I was doing this because my my grandmother wanted me to be a priest, but I think today God spoke to me, and we kind of see what he means. We've seen the evidence and how not physically spoke to him, but we see how he's had signs pointed at him to do this. And it's funny because I'm an atheist. But this is TV. I'm fine with all this existing in here.
Yeah, same. I mean, again, atheist, but whatever. Yeah. Just go with it.
Exactly.
Your universe, do what you want.
Yeah, good story. But then this is where we get the twist. And I called the twist quite early on, I have to say. Because there's two daughters, and one of them's a complete, well, she's not that bad, but she's, your typical horrible teenager.
Stay-at-the-room teenager, yeah.
Hates everything. She's a little bit older than that because she was in, a car accident with her friend, and her friend died. I'm assuming it was a boyfriend the parents didn't like, because it was the way the mum said friend. It was like, oh, that was a virgin.
I thought it was a girlfriend, actually, and she was a lesbian. And the parents don't approve, because she's very religious.
You might be right.
That was what I thought it was implying, but
well, I got that it was she disapproved of her relationship. I just didn't go as far to think that it was a gay relationship. But you're probably right. That makes sense. But so she's been like a brat the whole episode and being awful, and she's waving her hands in front of her dad's face. He's like, he's a vegetable now. Who cares? And actually, that was one of my favorite moments in terms of character from the priest, like Tomas, because he's like, I'm a priest, but what you just did was disrespectful, so don't bloody do it. Like, he gets stern with her, and I like that. It was like, yeah, he's not going to just smile and be priesty.
Yeah.
Not that priesty is a word, but you know what I mean. So yeah, but then the other sister's really nice, and I think her name's Casey, and she's really sweet, and she's always trying to be nice to her sister. She's trying to be nice to everyone around her. And right as soon as they introduce both of the sisters, I'm like, the nice one's the one that's possessed.
Yeah, it's always the way, isn't it?
Although I didn't necessarily think she was already possessed. I just thought she will be the one who gets possessed because she's the nice one, and that's more interesting.
Yeah, it's also it's more interesting. It's also more obvious because it's so obvious that it should be the other one that it's like, well, it has to be the nice one.
But to be fair, I didn't call that she was already possessed.
No,
full on, because at the end of the episode, of course, Father Tomas hears a noise up in the attic in their house. He goes up, and this is when all the lights are off. He's got his little torch, his little flashlight for the Americans, and he's looking down the attic, and she's, hair's down over her face, and she's being all creepy, and she's moving around really quick, and there's some good jump scare moments. There's a rat that she grabs and kills, and it looks really creepy. And it's full on, it's a good, really well shot, good little scary tense scene. And then when the mum comes up and the light goes on, she's normal.
Yeah.
And she smiles.
And then she goes, "Oh, Father Tomas just killed the rat for us."
And it's the way she smiles that gets me. She's playing it up, and the priest is terrified at this point. And she's like, "You know what they say about rats? When there's one, there's usually a whole pack of them." Hence my thinking that there's more than one demon abound. And, he goes outside and he looks up at the window, and she's there looking down at him, staring. And that's, of course, when Tubular Bells, the theme, kicks in. And it is the perfect moment for the theme to kick in. Because it's just, because the episode, and I was enjoying it, but that was where it set up, okay, that's what this show really is. She's hiding the fact that she's possessed, and he knows it now.
Yeah.
And that's what the plot of this season is going to be. And the music kicked in to let us know that, stuff's serious. So no, it was good. I left it in a real high. Once that music kicked in, I was like, oh yeah, I'm into this now.
Yeah, I'm so glad it was a different story, because it gives them creative freedom. It means that I'm not constantly comparing it.
Yeah, exactly. Because when we talked about Lethal Weapon, we were constantly going, oh, this guy's not Mel Gibson, this guy's not Danny Glover. Whereas this, it's it doesn't matter. And
they've taken the core possession idea and gone, right, let's do a new story with it.
It's when Tomas was Googling exorcisms, as funny as that sounds, there's a picture of the staircase, which if it's not the exact staircase from the movie, it looks like it, which is why I'm thinking, oh, it's actually in the same universe, and this happened in the 70s. You know,
Yeah, it could well be.
and it was 40 years ago, so yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah,
Why wouldn't it have
probably would
happened?
just be like a just a random tale in
Yeah,
in that world.
yeah. So and yeah, so there we go. The Exorcist, I liked it. Didn't think I'd be saying that a few weeks ago, but here we are.
What a crazy world we live in.
I'm always for more good horror TV shows though, and
Yeah, you are.
I'm glad that they're finally at a place where they're not all terrible. It's
There's
really
been a few
nice.
good ones recently.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's nice that they're finally kind of nailing how that should work. So yeah, that's it. That's The Exorcist. We will be doing episode 2 next week. So and possibly probably the whole season, unless it like nosedives. I don't think we'll.
Yeah, unless
No.
without some firm direction, it tanks.
So that's Exorcist. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. And get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz. And of course, keep in mind we have so many new shows going up. We're actually running a little bit late on a couple of them, more than we normally would because there's so many of them and it's just fitting them in so difficult. So they're going up every day, more or less, and it'll be like that for a couple of weeks. But things should smooth out a couple of weeks into October. Of course, Luke Cage is coming next weekend to completely ruin every bit of planning we ever had. But
Yeah.
that's what's going on in the channel right now. So thanks very much, guys. Thanks very much for watching. We will see you next time. Keep watching TV. We're out. You timed that hiccup just perfectly.